Hello, friends, and welcome to a very special Between the Skeins vlog episode. My name is Meg. I am the yarn dyer behind the company Megs & Co. And I am currently in the home stretch of preparing for my next event. It is the Tina Turner's Fiber Arts Festival that takes place every year in Henrietta, New York. And I am so excited to be vending at this event yet again. This will be I feel like I've already figured this out. Sixth year, seventh year, I can't remember. But I'm so excited to be back yet again. And so I thought I would take you along on how I prep and pack for an event. So currently, I am kind of in the home stretch of things. So I am definitely in the packing phase. And so what that means is, with the exception of a few last minute dyes, everything is dyed that I want to bring to the show. Everything has been twisted, labeled, ready to go. I did pop a few last minute skeins in the dye pans because as I was twisting and labeling and kind of laying everything out and getting a really great visual of all the colors, I wanted to fill in just a couple more tonal colorways to just really round out the collection. I'm always thinking about like what projects I would make, and I was like, oh my god, this would be amazing, but it needs like just a little pop of contrast here. Yeah, so I added 3 additional tonal colorways to the winter collection. And so I did 2 of those last night, and I plan to do another one tonight. So those are coming, and I'm just going to make space for them, but it's fine. We still have plenty of days for them to get washed and dried and packed for the show. So what am I doing today? So one of the things that I do to prepare, I am such a visual person. I can't just pack up the yarn and kind of hope for the best. So one of the things for these shows is generally you don't really have a lot of time to set up for these shows. Usually you only have maybe 3 hours before these events start to haul all of your stuff in, set up all of your furniture, and then you have to stock your booth. So I like to get everything as staged and set up in my house beforehand. I take pictures of it, and then I pack it in a way that is easy to unpack it, so that way I can set it up as quickly as possible. And I find that even doing that, it still takes me the full 3 hours, even with so much help. So that's one of the reasons why I stage my wall, as you can see behind me. It's in the pre-stages of staging. And then I also like to really think about how my shoppers are going to be in my booth, how they're going to want to shop. I want the booth to look good. There's going to be so many vendors. I think at least 30 different vendors at this event. So people are going to be wandering around. That's a lot of overwhelm. And you want to be the booth that catches their eye and draws them in. So I'm always thinking about, how I can arrange the booth, arranging the colors in a way that's very pleasing to the eye and draws people in. And then also making a booth that's very shoppable. So, having kind of stations of, if people are going to be spending time. So right here I have stitch stoppers set up and some fiber set up. So if people are going to be spending some time looking at stuff, they don't really have to like move around the booth. They can kind of stay in their spot, as they're picking something out. And it just creates a little bit less like chaos in the booth so that, people don't have to like kind of move around and elbow each other because, especially during like that peak time, usually like 11 approaching into lunchtime, it gets so crowded. So I try to make sure that everyone kind of, you might have to wait a little bit to get to the space that you want to look at, but like once you're in the space, you don't have to move. Everything should be right in front of you. So if you want to look at right here, I've got some yak Oh, it's so good. It's all right here. It's all right in front of you, so you don't have to try to navigate too far in the booth. So those are the things that I'm always trying to think of to just make sure that the booth itself is very spatially well organized. It's very shoppable. The flow is good. I'm always trying to figure out like where's the best spot for the cash out. Especially like once people are ready to, how do I get them kind of out of the space of where people are shopping? So, just that the flow is good. So those are the things that I'm always thinking in my mind. And, I've done shows before, so I have kind of an outline of, how I've set it up before and what works and what doesn't. So usually I start from there and then I have to kind of just adjust it based on the product and the inventory that I'm specifically bringing to the show and the space that this show is going to give me. So for this show, I have requested a double booth. So that means that I should get in theory, a 10 by 20 space. So quite a big space. So I'm planning on building kind of on the back wall. So it should be 20 feet wide and then kind of 10 feet deep. So I'm planning on just having one big long grid wall on the back, and that's going to present the majority of my inventory. And I figured out that I can have 7 of these grid walls. So each one of these grid walls is 2 feet, and then I always just account for some extra space in between. Right now they're mounted on my wall, so they're basically connected to each other, so there's like no space in between. But when they're on the floor, they're going to have feet. So I always account for space in between. So, I can't have 10 grid walls because they're 10 grid walls, even though they're 2 feet and should fit in a 20-foot, they don't. So I probably could fit, I feel like fitting 9 is like the most. So I'm going to do 7 of these open ones. And then I've got these corners. I don't know if you can see. Oh my gosh, my cat's chasing a ball and my dog's chasing the cat. So then I have these corner displays where it's just 2 grid walls kind of pinned together with this little shelf piece, and that way I can put a mannequin on here. And it's got this, I don't even know if you can see, but it's got this like bar where I can hang samples, and I find that really useful because everyone wants to see the samples, and so it's a way that I can kind of highlight some examples of work. So I'll have 2 corner pieces and then 7 display grid walls. So that'll be 9 2-foot panels. So it should fit in a 20-foot space. And you always have to make sure that you're ready to pivot, because I have been to so many shows where they tell you that you're getting a 10 by 20, and I've showed up to so many shows and they put you in a space where it's not actually like a rectangular space. It's just some weird shape. And they're like, yeah, it's about 10 by 20 and you just got to make it work. So, I try to plan as much as I can. So you just got to make it work the best you can. And a lot of times too, by having these kind of corner pieces as a part of the plan, that's my contingency that if something has to go, it's going to be the mannequin. So that gives me a lot of space on either side that if I show up to the space and I'm like, this is not a 10 by 20, that I can start eliminating sections and it's not product. So anyway, so this is the little, I guess, inside my brain of what's going on. So let me see. Oh my gosh. So I was going to say, let me see if I can back up the camera, and I literally cannot. So I'm in my office, and this way is just filled with totes. There's just totes upon stacked totes because I had to pull everything off of the wall to start staging the wall. And then of course, all the product that I have been working on to build, expand my inventory and build all new inventory for the show has been coming up from the yarn room. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 8 totes of yarn just stacked on the floor. 9, I've got 9 totes, and then I've started to bring up other totes that have like my tablecloths and signage and all that stuff, because I've got to wash and iron my tablecloths. I've got to update my signage. I just have to go through all of that to just see what needs updating. I like little decoration pieces in my booth. So, are all these still good? Have things started to chip? So, sometimes do I need to take a trip to Home Goods to get new like fixtures and whatnot? I got to pull out my lights and check the light bulbs, and so there's like no place to walk. It is just a complete horde of chaos this way. So I literally cannot move the camera back, but I will try my best to kind of demonstrate what's going on here. So in my office, this is my yarn wall. I always call this my shop wall because typically what's on the wall is what's listed on my website. So right now that's not the case. What's on my website, I have now packed up into totes so that I can use this as my stage. So I can stage this in 3 grids at a time. So I have 3 open grids. So I have this one, and then that one before I get to another corner piece. So if I'm going to do 7 grids, I have to kind of do this in little snippets of staging. So I stage what I can, and I like to see it kind of in big pieces like this. Stage what I can, and then like I said, then I can tear it down and pack it. And I usually move it out into like the living room or something to just like physically get it out of this room. Otherwise it gets to be so full of stuff that I can't work. Like you can't move in here. So I start stacking it into my living room until we can load it into our car. So it just becomes this like kind of crazy chain of chaos in the house. So I have the first stage done, the first set of grid walls. So I've got my Empire State here. I've got like some samples of Empire State, and I really like the theme here of continuing this way. I actually have like all unsuperwashed yarn here. So Empire State is my local yarn, so it's all New York State yarn. Then this is a brand new base that I'm debuting. It's a yak silk single ply yarn. It's just so soft. This was a little kind of project for me. I just really wanted to try this yarn. So it's not one that I really plan on keeping in the shop, but I thought it would just be a beautiful yarn to have for spring, summer. And there was a couple of projects that I wanted to make in this. So I just got just a very small collection's worth so that I could have it. I've got some Surrey silk. And then I have some tweed down below. My tweed is a non-superwash American source tweed. Kind of sadly, it's actually not been very popular. And I say sad because it is a wonderful, wonderful yarn. It's so soft. I very much enjoy working with it. But I'm actually considering not carrying it anymore just because it really just doesn't sell well. So, I got to have stuff that sells well. So I'm actually considering not restocking this and trying something else. We'll see maybe if the yak does really well. Maybe that will take the tweed's place. So this might be the end of the tweed, at least for now. Kind of makes me sad because it really is a great yarn. It's just so soft. But yeah, and then I just always have some like overstock bins down below. And then next to it, I've got stitch stoppers and I've got spinning fiber. So it's kind of continuing that non-superwash trend there. So that means it's time for me to find an empty tote, which at this point does not exist in my house. I got to find an empty tote so I can pack this down. I do take pictures of everything, so I will take really detailed photographs. So that way it's really easy, not only for me to set up, but I print those out and I can give that to the my friends and family that are helping me to set up my booth. And then that way I can just say, okay, this is how I want you to unpack and set it up. So it just makes it really easy for other people to just go and It's very efficient. Okay, so I need to stop talking because I'm find an empty tote, pack up this bowl, and start on the
I've got scars in all the wrong places. It sure feels that way. I know it does. It's been months now, driving you crazy. It sure feels that way.
halfway packed. Actually, what's kind of sad is that this is not even close to halfway. This is probably only a third packed because the bulk of my yarn is, I'm just staring at it. The bulk of my yarn, including the new collection, I'm doing a small spring preview collection. So this is yarn that I'm not planning to release on my website for potentially a month or two. But since I've started to get some inventory for my spring collection that I was planning a launch around April or so, I thought I would bring what I have for a little preview. So I have my winter collection, a spring preview, and then quite a bit of just inventory. So all of that now has to get up on the wall. So I have 4 grids that I can fill, and it's all just going to be my Ghost Town fingering, Ghost Town DK, and then I have a ton of sock sets and mini skeins. So many sock sets. I have 3 sock sets that are coming with me that I've picked out for the show. I have tons of mini skeins. I have a winter collection mini skein, one that's tonal, one that's speckled. I have a spring lilac festival mini skein. Every year I do a lilac festival collection that's part of the spring preview, and every year everyone asks for mini skeins, so I do have those coming with me. So I have to figure out if I want those on the wall, or I do have 2 tables that I'm planning on putting up in my booth. Usually I kind of put those to kind of create, you know, like a anchoring like the wall perimeter of my booth. Oh my gosh, I'm like out of breath. So, like I like to use the tables to create like a nice corner space. So I think I'm gonna put a lot of like the sock sets and mini skeins because I already have them in these buckets and they look nice. They look like little bouquets of flowers, and so I think just like setting them on the tables, I mean they're kind of already packed and they look great. And that way I can save all of the wall space for just skeins, just loose skeins. So I think I'm gonna do that, and then I don't have a lot of like notions and tools this go around. I do like to always order some like fun tools and whatnot, things that I like to use. I do have a little bit. My stitch marker collection that I like to bring with me is quite slim. My favorite stitch marker place, Firefly Notes, they are Canadian, so I haven't reordered from them just because I don't want to pay the tariffs quite yet. Hoping that all gets figured out and I can re-up from them because I love their tins, I love their stitch markers, but I just don't want to support the tariffs right now. But I did reorder my favorite scissors, including, oh my gosh, look at these. I absolutely love these snips because they are so sharp, but I got, these ones are silver. I haven't had these silver ones before. They're so sharp. And then look at how tiny. I had to get these. They are so tiny. Like they're perfect for travel because they're TSA compliant. And they'll fit in your tins and whatnot. And they're so sharp, so sharp. I need to go through some of my older scissors. I know I'm guilty of like, you know, just getting like kind of the cheaper plastic handled ones, and they they're just so dull and they drive me nuts because they just kind of, you know, snag and mash on the yarn. They don't actually cut. So I love these. So these will be on the table. So I have to figure out how I want to display these. I have always brought pom-poms. But even my pom-pom stash is quite low. These get made overseas as well, and so I just have not ordered them either. They get made in, is it Hungary? Norway? I forget where, but very beautiful, exquisite pom-poms. So I haven't ordered more of them in a very long time, so I have very few left, but I'll make a nice little notions display on the table. But yeah, so now I have to figure out how I want to do the grid wall, and I'm kind of thinking that I want to have a whole grid wall that's like just dedicated to the new colors, and then have a grid wall of fingering weight and a grid wall of DK weight. So there will be one grid wall that will probably be like, not like when I'm always thinking about like what's shoppable, it might be a little bit of a congestion point because it's going to have fingering and DK all in one, but I think it'll look really beautiful to just have the whole kind of winter collection in one grid wall, and then maybe even do the spring preview in another grid wall, and then just do fingering and DK. And that's four grids. So I think that's my plan right now. I'm going to take a little break because I'm going to let my mind kind of nurture on that for a minute and get back to it. Fresh wall, so many possibilities. I don't even know where to start. Okay, so I liked my plan before I took my break of, I think, having one section of the wall where I just highlight the new collection. I think that's going to be really fun. I know a lot of times people come into the booth and they want to know what's new, and I think having everything together in one spot, new right here, is going to just be really fun, a nice little showstopper. So I think I'm going to mock that up now. Let's do it. So it should fit pretty well. I have 5 variegated colors and 5 tonal colors, and I think I have enough of each base because I wanted to make sure I had better quality than I
I've got scars in all the wrong places. It sure feels that way. I know it does. It's been months now, driving you crazy. It sure feels that way. I know because countless hours and endless praise.
Alright, I'm like really happy with this. So this, I need to get the yarn that's still in the basement that I'm actually dyeing as we speak. Part of my break I went downstairs and started dyeing that last color, which is this really nice kind of silvery purple color. So I'm using these mini skeins to kind of mark where I'm gonna put those colors, but I've got all of these speckled colors on top. So I'm doing, this side will be the fingering weight, and then this will just be a mirror of all the same colors, but in the DK weight. And so the tonals will go here, and I will have the same tonals on DK here. I've got all the mini skeins here, and then I've got some more stitch stoppers that are in either coffee shop or bookstore or library themed. And then I think, so I'm definitely going to have a lot of quantity because I do have sweater quantities in most of these colors, so I will probably load up. I have these like wooden crates that I always hate how I have to just destroy my room for these shows, but I have these wooden crates that are really nice because I can just put them right on the floor, and so I can fill these up with, my cat is on my keyboard. Please don't email somebody. So I can just put all of the extra stock into these crates and then just put it here, and it looks really aesthetically nice. And also I can just keep restocking as pegs deplete, but then also if somebody does want a sweater quantity, they can kind of pick from below. And then anything that doesn't fit there, I usually will have totes that the tables that I have in my booth, I'll have totes of even more extra stock, and then I'll hide those totes under the tables. So usually whenever there's any kind of lull, like around lunchtime or in the afternoon, as pegs start to empty, I'll see if I can put additional yarn up on the wall. Usually about midday, I'll try to kind of condense the wall so that it doesn't look like I have empty pegs and empty spaces. But now we're just trying to fill well, but I think that this looks really nice. It just looks like very clean, and I'm really happy with it. I love the way the mini skeins look, and I love being able to see the entire new collection. I think especially once like the tonals are on there, it's gonna look really, really nice. So absolutely excited for that. And I'm hoping to have a color sample of all of the new colors. So for Christmas, I got one of these Addy Express machines where you can like crank tubes, you can make hats, just anything you can crank a tube with. So I've been making like some hats and cowls and stuff. And so last night I caked up one of each of the mini skeins, because I have the 2 mini skein sets, one of all the speckles and one of all the tonals. And I'm hoping to crank one long tube so that you can see all of the colors knitted up. So I'll have to figure out how to display that as well. So that'll be my evening project. So, okay, so that looks great. So then this wall is just going to be everything else. So all of my other inventory, because I tried to replenish lots of other colors, so colors that I have samples for, and then just popular colors. So yeah, I gotta figure out if I wanted to kind of do something similar to the vibe I've got here. I think I'm going to keep it to having a panel of fingering weight and a panel of DK weight, because that just tends to be how people shop. You know, people are going to stand in one spot, and it's just a lot easier, you know, if I can point people to one spot, and then, you know, you can just kind of look up and down. I think while sometimes it's more visually pleasing to have a big row of color, and then it's, you know, the same color as one on top of each other. From a shopper's perspective, if you're looking at DK and you're having to keep walking back and forth, and now someone's in front of the color you want, it gets to be a little bit annoying. But if you can finally get up to the fingering weight yarn and you can stand in front of the grid wall and take your time, I think it's just going to be a lot easier for the customer. So potentially sacrificing a little bit of like that visual wow factor, but I'm hoping that the customers will appreciate the shoppability of the booth. So I think that's what I'm going to do. A fingering grid wall, a DK grid wall. And then I'm probably going to do something very similar to what's here for the spring showcase, because I have spring colors in fingering weight and DK weight. I don't have any spring tonals yet. That's just the one thing I did not have time for. And I was going to try to push it out. And I said, you know what? Enough said. I have so much yarn. At this point, I don't even know how I'm going to fit it all in the car or on the wall. So I don't have any spring tonals, just the speckles. But that's fine. I have lots of minis and lots of other good goodies. So I'm really excited for that. So, all right. So let's get to it. Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog of getting ready for my Fiber Festival. It is Thursday night. It is T-minus 36 hours or so to showtime. And so I am gremlin eating my dinner over the stove. I just got home from running some errands and whatnot. It's about 7:30 at night. I actually got my nails done. It's something that I like to treat myself to before shows. Normally I just do my nails myself, just paint them myself at home. But before I have shows or any kind of like big event, I just really like to get my nails done. I feel like your hands, you're showing your product, and I don't know, your hands are just so visible, and I just like to have that like nice presentation. So I just went and got my nails done, ran some errands, and picked up some dinner to go from one of my favorite restaurants. If you are in Rochester, Signatures at the Humphrey House in Penfield. Love it. Their food is so good. So I just picked up a burger to go. Absolutely so good. So I just fed my animals and now they're fighting over their own dinner. So we're trying to put together some like last minute signage, I think. I think that I pretty much have my booth planned out. I finished all of the staging, but I do still have to wind up all of those last minute skeins that I did dye. Everything is washed and should be dry. So tomorrow I just have to twist, wrap, and label all of that yarn. I did take off of work tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. So I'm gonna do that tomorrow, get that up on the wall, and then that way I can pack down the final wall section. So that's gonna be good. I gave my husband a little bit of assignment that he's working on right now, because I wanted some new signage in my booth. So having him help me putting together these like chalkboard signs, because normally I have to like print out like new signs for like pricing and whatnot. And so I thought maybe doing some like cute like chalkboard signs, and then that way I can just like wipe them off and just redraw them each time instead of having to like get on the computer, and that way if I have to make changes on the fly, it's just a lot easier. So he's putting some posts on them so I can attach them to my grid walls. And that's kind of that. But I just wanted to check in because I feel like we're getting down to this like flurry of craziness that like the closer we get to tomorrow's, I just need to remember to take moments to, I don't know, like sit down and knit or sit down and read, you know, every once in a while, because otherwise I'll just kind of, I don't know, I'll just get a little too into my head with my lists and my to-dos and whatnot. And I need to make sure that I'm relaxed for Saturday, because otherwise I'm just gonna be exhausted, and I'm so excited for Saturday, so I do not want to be exhausted. So I did take off of work tomorrow, so then that way I have time to pack everything, and at 5 o'clock I can start setting up. So 5 o'clock, we're gonna head over to the ballroom and set up. It should just take us a few hours. And hopefully then have probably another raccoon meal over the stove. Hopefully an early bedtime. And then I cannot wait to see everybody. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm also really hoping that the weather cooperates. I don't think it's going to. So this show, I know I've said it before, I've been doing this show since 2019. And every single year that I've done this show, the weather, without fail, granted it's February in Western New York, but the weather has shown up. February Western New York weather has shown up every single year. Whether it's extreme wind, extreme cold, ice, snow, or a combination of all of them. Last year there was an ice storm that then turned into snow. In other years past, there's been some really extreme wind. I believe it was actually the first year that I did it. I had this like kind of sandwich board sign, and the wind was so strong that I was literally just carrying it in my hands in the parking lot, and the wind ripped it out of my hands and like just shredded it. And every year it's like this. Every year we have to contend with the weather, and it is supposed to just be a little nutty again. So we're supposed to get potentially 6 to 12 inches of snow starting tomorrow through Saturday. So hopefully, well, it sounds like a lot. It should be spread out over like 30 hours. So it shouldn't be so bad, but it's going to be extremely cold. -20 wind chills and very high winds. And high winds while it's snowing means like poor visibility, kind of like blizzardy conditions. Like it can only snow an inch, but when you have that high wind, it can be very blizzardy. So I just hope it's fine, because I have been working on this show since November, and it's so hard. It's so hard when weather or sickness or, just like, you got to deal with what's presented with you. And I'm just taking it in stride. And it's like, this is why I have a website, and yeah. So I'm just gonna deal with what comes, come what may. So trying to look at the forecast from a planning perspective, but trying not to panic about the potential literal blizzard. Anyway, I'm going to continue to eat my dinner because I do have some work that I want to continue to do before I hit the relax button for the night. So I'll check in again later. Bye. Good morning. It's actually almost afternoon, and I'm not trying to think about that because I think I'm a little bit behind of where I wanted to be today. But again, we're not going to go there. We still have plenty of day in front of us. Today is show eve. Today is Friday, the day before my show. I'm doing the Tina Turner Knits Fiber Arts Festival in Henrietta, New York tomorrow. That's full mouthful. And I feel like I am just at like the peak of chaos prep mode. But I do feel like I can see the finish line. I just need to get there, and sometimes it's just, you just still have like so much to do, even though you know what you need to do and it's totally doable. There's still just only so much day, but we're gonna get it done. So the biggest things that I had to do today was I had dyed a whole bunch of last minute yarn, like a crazy person that I am. So I had to twist all that yarn up, label it, do the things. I did that this morning. Got it up on the wall. So now my wall is completely staged for the show. And my cat's playing with his ball. And so I got it completely staged for the show. I'm really, really happy with how it looks. I think it just looks very neat, tidy, and clean. So many great options, so much color. but everything is kind of just very nicely laid out. So I'm very excited with how it looks. And then over here, you can't really see. Here, I kind of, this is where I put the little staging for my 7th grid. So this is going to be my little spring preview. So this will be like along the wall, but this is where I staged that. So now that everything is staged, I can pack it up. And I feel like that once I see everything packed up, that's going to make all the difference. But then I do have like 100 little things that I do need to get done. But we're getting there. Hello, my little buddy. You want to say hello? So this is Simon. If you've been following along on my channel for any amount of time, you'll know that oh my gosh, he's still wild, you guys. So wild. This is our little kitten. Little kitten. Would you believe this guy is like, look at how huge he is. I'm stretching him out because he is enormous. This is our little kitten. He's about 6.5, 7 months old. And he is huge, huge. So we adopted him at the end of August, September. He was just an itty bitty little guy, a 1-pound blue-eyed little lost kitten. And he is now a 9-pound whopper of a dude. And he's still wild. He's gonna get neutered soon, so we're hoping that will calm him down. Oh my gosh. Okay, anyway, so enough of that. So yeah, I'm hoping that like once everything is packed down, it'll kind of streamline things, and it'll especially like clear out a lot of space in this room, because right now it's just like, it looks like a hoarder's nest in here. You kind of have to like climb around things because there's just bins and boxes. So I just need to get everything out of here, and then I can see what's left to do. And it's just a lot of like nonsense. I have to still make my signs. I don't even know where they are. So last night I set my husband to work. So I bought these like chalkboard signs, but I wanted them to be able to be like suspended above the grid walls, because I feel like signage takes up too much room on the grid walls and I want product on my grid wall. So I had him put legs on these so then I can zip tie them to the grid wall, so they're suspended above, and it has like the yarn information, the price, because everyone needs to know how much it is. And so I can put it above each grid wall, and then it also like tells you what you're looking at. So like this will tell you it's the DK section and the fingering weight section, then new product section. So this particular one is my Empire Estate, so it'll go on the Empire Estate section. So I think that they turned out really good. But I still have to actually like write all this out, and there's 6 of them, so so I got to do that. Any of the new samples that I've acquired since my last show have to get labeled, and it just, all that stuff just surprisingly takes a lot of time. I've got to go to Wegmans to get some food. I have absolutely no food. Gotta like make sandwiches. I have to actually pack the car because we are going to set up tonight. And it's already like noon, so we can set up tonight at 5, and I do want to get there like at 5. So that means that we need to be packing up the car at like 4, and I still have to run some errands and actually pack this wall up. I'm pretty sure everything is charged, so I did check. I have these Jackeries, which are amazing. So I power my whole booth with these Jackeries. I always like request power if it's an option, but I have found that you can request whatever you want, you know, corner space, power, whatever, and it doesn't mean you're gonna get it. So I always feel like you need to take matters into your own hands. So I have 2 of these Jackeries, and they're great. They'll last all day. And so, yeah, so if I have lights, oh my gosh, my lights, I have not packed my lights. I have to pull those out of the basement. Oh my gosh. I do have like a big list that like I go over it. So right now I just haven't like looked at my list, but these Jackeries will power my lights, my iPad, I always check my iPad to make sure that it doesn't need an update. Without fail, there will be an update Saturday morning. It doesn't matter whether I've looked at it tonight. It will need to update in the morning. It just feels like it's like show things. But this will power my lights, my iPad, all the things. But I always have two of them because sometimes, it being an 8-hour show, especially if I have full lighting going, I do like to have two. I've charged my squares. It's just like so much like nonsense you just have to remember. But I do have a list, and I do like add to it every single time. And one of the things too is I kind of keep the same go bag. So it's like a clear bag, and I like that it's a clear bag so I can like see into it. And I always keep my tools in there. I keep like a pair of scissors, tape, extension cords, power strips, screwdrivers, scissors, just so much stuff is in there, zip ties. There's a lot of stuff in there. I always keep garbage bags, paper towels. I don't bring like a whole roll. I will like literally cut sheets of paper towel and fold them up and make like a nice stack so it fits in the bag. And a lot of times I'll do this at the end of a show, and then pack that bag for the next show so it's just ready to go and I don't have to remember to do this. Tissues, wet wipes. I think I actually have to buy wet wipes. And that way it's just all in one bag, so it's like less I have to remember because I don't have to pack that bag. I just have to grab my go bag. And so that's something that's like really helpful. But I do go through the go bag and just make sure all that stuff is actually in there. Anyway, so that's all I have to do, and I'm going to quit gabbing because that is a crap ton to have to do, and I essentially have 4 hours to do it. And again, it sounds like a lot of time. Right?
I've got scars in all the wrong places. It sure feels that way. I know it does. It's been months now, driving you crazy. It sure feels that way. I know because countless hours and endless praying still can't change the way I know you think. The only time I feel you breathing without the sting is when you sleep. I don't want you to be numb. I don't want you to be numb. I don't want you to be numb.
After months of dying and weeks of preparing the booth and staging and setting up and packing, it's actually really fun to see it all come together, and I am just delighted with how this booth plan went. So in total, it only took 2 hours for my husband and I to set up the booth, which I think is a record considering that I did have a double booth this go around.
I did make a couple on the fly adjustments. You can see I did eliminate one of the corners because with it tucked behind the table there, it just didn't make sense from a shoppability perspective, but it was so easy to do because I had planned for it. If you were able to come to the show, I would love to know what you thought of my booth. I never really get feedback on what the experience is like from a shopper's perspective. So was it inviting? Did you have room? What was the shoppability like while you were inside my booth? And if you are a vendor, what are some of your tips and tricks for getting ready for an event like this? So here it is, the grand finale, the final product. I did still have some last minute edits to do the morning of, but this is pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time. I'm just walking out from the conference center. I'm all set up. It feels really weird to leave your entire booth behind, but I'm so excited for tomorrow. I'm all set up, and so now it's time to go home, rest, relax, and I cannot wait to see everybody tomorrow.